Hello and welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. I'm delighted to say that I'm joined all the way from Fort Lauderdale by Keith Jackson and Scott McDermott. Keith, you look a bit worn out.
What is this? Day what?
Day
Three? Day three? And I'm already hanging by a very, very thin thread.
Talk us through your day.
A busy day. This is actually, do you know something? And people, well, maybe they won't, but they'll probably think, oh, poor souls.
No.
But at a tournament, especially World Cup, sometimes it's just one thing straight on to the next, and it is a lot of running about. So we've had a really busy day today, stressful but very productive, Scott, haven't we? We thoroughly enjoyed going down into Miami's training facility.
Yep.
Oh my God, what a place that is to watch Scotland train for the first time. Honestly, 50,000 square feet. The facility, 7 pitches. And by the way,
$60 million.
$60 million. The pitches, I don't think they were mowed by a lawnmower. I think somebody's taken a pair of scissors to them or something. I've never seen. Honestly, it was like walking out in centre court at Wimbledon. It was that impressive.
They were so good. It was like artificial grass.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was real. It was the real deal. And actually, Daniel was part of that. Found out that basically when David Beckham signed Lionel Messi 3 years ago, they had a conversation, and the conversation went around that, well, we've got a really nice facility and all this, but this is Lionel Messi. He's the greatest player who ever kicked a ball. Lionel, you come in, take a look at this facility, and see anything you want, you get. Change whatever you want. So basically, Scotland have trained today, started their preparations for the World Cup at a facility designed by Lionel Messi and bankrolled by David Beckham. Former captain of England, the current World Cup winning captain, and we're hitching a lift to try and take that trophy out of his wee hands.
And look, Scotland have done well to get it.
Oh, aye.
No, because there would have been other teams vying for it. I mean, we all know there was a scramble, between all of the teams going to the World Cup, and it was to do with seedings and stuff like that in terms of who get first pick, and there was a lot of to and fro. We know Steve Clarke was over here, what was it, 2 or 3 times looking at different places, but
he actually was telling us he went over to Palm Beach because they kind of spotted the facility they wanted there. He goes into that a little bit. I have to tell you, we were literally just come away from Steve Clarke's first press conference at this World Cup, and it is embargoed. The stuff will be online from 10:30 tonight. Wow, is there some stuff?
See,
he spoke really, really well.
Before we come on to that, Keith, I mean, anyone watching at home, they can see clips of Scotland training today at Inter Miami's plush training ground. I just wanted to ask, are England not in Miami as well? And you mentioned, Scott, that it seems to me amazing for Scotland to get this facility.
I think it is. I'm not sure where England are, I'll be honest.
England are at Palm Beach. Basically, I don't think I'm giving too much away here. Basically, Steve Clarke's just confirmed that he wanted Palm Beach, but because we're not a pot 1 team, you can put a claim in, but if a pot 1 team comes along, they can kick you out. Basically, England and Portugal came along and kicked us out of that one. And ultimately, we managed to scramble around at the last minute. And I think he's absolutely thrilled with what he's come up with.
Look, the key thing, Daniel, is, and we've mentioned this before, these players in the Scotland squad now, they're top level Premier League players or European players. Your Andy Robertsons, McTominays, John McGinns. They expect the very best, elite level training facilities, elite level environment to work in. And
so they should.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think, we've only been here a few days. I say we'd our first look at the training complex today, and obviously they move on to Charlotte FC's training complex next week when the build up to the World Cup really starts. But I know it's early days, but whatever happens at this tournament, Jack, I don't think our top players will leave it, and I don't think they'll be able to say we didn't.
No, they can't say it wasn't because they weren't catered for. They have left nothing to chance. I think there's 45 staff members, non-playing staff members, that are part of the SFA's travelling party. It's astonishing the level of detail they've gone into. I think they've got fresh kit to put on 3 times a day.
Yep.
Breakfast, lunch and dinner. They've been told don't swan about in the hotel wearing sweaty training gear. Here's new stuff. There's a truck, all that stuff got delivered last week. There's a truck left
Here to go to
here
New York.
to go to New York, New Jersey, ahead of the Scotland team going back up there Thursday of this week, so that the stuff's all there for them. They have really they've gone over and above, and we think back because we were there and we loved Garmisch, didn't we?
We did.
We had a great bromance in Garmisch, and it was a beautiful, so picturesque. But we're training on like an amateur's pitch. The players, the facilities. You've basically gone from 1-star to 7-star in terms of facilities, and I think that was part of, they call it the learnings from that last tournament, is that they clearly thought we need to upgrade in terms of the environment that the players are in. You know, Garmisch was such a small one-horse town, and they've gone obviously cities here, bigger hotels. It's going to cost a few quid. It's going to cost a few quid.
That's the point. No, going to Germany for a Euros is big enough, right? It's a big operation, big tournament. Going to America for a World Cup takes it up.
It takes it
5 notches.
It's the Euros on steroids, isn't it?
Honestly, I mean, in terms of the travel, everything that it entails. And Jacko's right. I mean, a lot of the stuff you don't see, a lot of people back home probably don't realise, but the size of the operation, even with the kit, and I know the kit, Scotland's kit man quite well, and what a job he's got in his hands. You think it's just getting the strips
some jerseys
and get the training gear on every day. It is unbelievable the operation that's taking place here, and that's just with kit. I mean, that's not including sports size, nutrition, all these different type of things. So that's what was good about the day. It just gave us a wee glimpse, of what it's all about, what it entails. We get kind of up close with Steve Clarke. We had a wee bit of time watching the training. It was brilliant, and you just realise how big this is.
We've got questions coming in already about Steve Clarke, a lot about Tyler Fletcher. If he addressed that, we'll come to that in just We'll come to that in a wee second, because plenty of questions about the weather. Rebel says, Keith, you're looking like a beetroot. Is the humidity high? William says, you look like a pint of milk, Scott. Patrick says, Jack and Vic on tour in Miami. I love
coming on here and getting abused every day.
Patrick says, Jack and Vic on tour in Miami. There's definitely a series here. And a couple of people
Jacko and Vic.
A couple of people saying it doesn't actually look that hot, but that's not the case, is it?
Well, right now it's cooled down a little bit, hasn't it, from what it was earlier on? Listen, there was a point not that long ago where I had to leave Steve Clarke's press conference. I won't bore you with details, but the stuff we were using from Steve Clarke had to get transcribed and written up ASAP. So Scott stayed behind to do some other interviews. I could have called an Uber or tried to book an Uber. I actually thought old school, here's the only option. If I run, I'll get there quicker. Get back to our hotel. It was about 32 degrees at this point. The sun was absolutely splitting the pavements, and I've ran with a laptop bag a mile back.
All I'm going to say is it wouldn't have been me. I wouldn't have cared how quick they needed the transcriptions. I'd have been getting an Uber. Don't worry about that.
So if I'm looking a bit flushed, it's because I've literally just run down the stairs after doing all that, getting the work done. I get back to my room, by the way. My door's lying open. I think, what's going on here? The maid is in the room, and I think she thought I was having a heart attack. She's going like, water, you need water. And then she wanted to talk to me for 10 minutes about it. You know, that way you're quietly, thanks very much, thanks for the water, and put my earphones in, I'm busy. And then she starts stopping me to start talking about, what the weather is really, it's amazing, thanks very much now. So, that's why I'm a little bit flushed around the edges.
Well, I'm glad you survived, and I'm sure all the viewers are as well. We've come on.
I'm not so sure. When you say all, that's a big number.
When
When you say all, that's a big number.
Some of them.
Yeah.
Peter says in the comments, was Clarke quizzed about Fletcher's inclusion at the
Yes,
expense of
Peter.
Lennon Miller and Andy Irving? What can you tell us,
Yes.
Guy?
What can we tell you? Well, be careful because there is a 10:30 embargo and we can't break that. But all these issues and more addressed in a really frank, open, honest manner. I think what I would say is that we've discussed this now for a couple of days and Scott's got his own theory, which we talked about, which was, has this boy walked into training and just been so good that it became impossible not to take him? That's the kind of way that I was feeling as I set off on my 1 mile sprint. I think the boy has actually wowed not just Clarke and his coaching staff, but also some of the senior players.
Yeah, I think the key thing to say is, Daniel, that there are good reasons for it, and obviously people will find out, when the stuff comes out later tonight, that this decision wasn't made on a whim by Steve Clarke. Difficult conversations had to be had, obviously, with certain people, and that there are what he feels are really legitimate reasons for it, and it's okay for us to that's our job, to kind of speculate and have an opinion on whether it's right, whether it's wrong, how people like Lennon Miller have been treated, stuff like that, and Tyler Fletcher coming in for nowhere. But the key thing is the manager's made a decision, and there are reasons, proper reasons behind it, and obviously, those will be revealed later on.
And he was prepared to front that up.
It was his open.
And we did say, because we've been talking about it, Scott, and we said, listen, there might be an explanation. It doesn't look obvious. It looks as if this is. I think how we phrased it the other day was, there are questions here that need to be answered, and I wasn't sure how open he might be to dealing with those questions. He fielded each and every one of them today. He gave his reasoning behind the decisions that have been made. He went to some length to talk about how difficult the whole situation has been since Saturday and since Billy Gilmore's injury.
It was as open and as honest as I've heard Steve in a long time.
Yeah, me too.
And he was he was relaxed. He was comfortable in his decision. That's not taking away how difficult it was.
Yeah.
But it was it was as open and as honest as I've heard him in a long time, and it's well worth listening to, well worth reading later on.
Well, I definitely, as you say, Keith, it's a 10:30 embargo, UK time, obviously, so that will be there. Online, definitely worth checking out. I know you can't go into too many details, but we talked about this last night. From my point of view, I thought Steve Clarke would struggle to justify how he's made this decision, but did he, basically?
No, I think he has justified it. I think he has. I mean, even someone like myself who is sceptical about it and been quite critical, I thought it was a staggering call to make. To bring Tyler Fletcher in for nowhere, bypass your own standby list, if you like, and put a 19-year-old into the World Cup. But I have to say, when you sit and listen to Steve Clarke, it was actually quite emotional about the whole thing, wasn't it?
I think that. Do you know? I think that was the big takeaway, Dan. When you're sitting there in the room, and you can see, and he's not one for showing a lot of emotion, as we all know. But Steve Clarke, he looked like a guy that had been put through the ringer a little bit, just in terms of this unexpected set of circumstances that dropped like a bombshell when Billy Gilmore felt something popping in his knee, and he's had to think on his feet. He did say that he didn't sleep very well on Saturday night because of it.
And he's also known that decision to bring Tyler Fletcher in was going to cause people were going to question
all sorts, and that he would come under criticism. But there is one thing about Steve Clarke which he kind of sticks to his principles on, and he said several times before, and he said again today, look, this is the Scotland job. It's my responsibility. I have to make these decisions. What people think about it is entirely their call, but I've got to do what I think is in the best interest. He says, I've been in the game for however long he's been in the game, and he's comfortable to trust his own judgment in situations like this. But this is not one that you can read about in the coaching manuals or the textbooks. This was something that was dropped on him. He's done something. Do you know what? for a guy, and I think I know a lot of the viewers often comment about he's frightened to change. He does the same. I've called him safety first, really overly cautious.
Yeah.
This is the opposite. What he's just done here, and by the way, from the conversation that we've just left, Scotty, I would not be in the least bit surprised to see Tyler Fletcher
Feature.
actually play in this World Cup. I don't think he's here just to carry the water bottles.
Which is incredible. And you're right. I mean, Steve Clarke's made big decisions, and I think he's got some decisions wrong. I'm sure you'll agree. We've spoken about leaving Billy Gilmour out opening game both
the last two Euros.
And no, he'll know that. But the one thing, two things. One, whether you like it or no, you need to trust the manager, because he's got Scotland to 3 out of 4 major tournaments. So whether you think he gets decisions wrong, he gets most decisions right, or would they be at these tournaments? And as I say, Dale, the other thing is he's doing it for the right reasons. I say we can't reveal too much just now, but when you listen to him, when you listen to the thinking behind it, the rationale behind it, I think you probably come away from it thinking, right, okay, no, it might not have been the decision I made, I might not agree with it, it might turn out to be the wrong decision. I don't think it will.
But he'll stand or fall by his decisions.
Exactly, and you need to trust him on that.
We've got tons of comments coming in, guys. Let me run through a few of them for you, throw them at you. The first one, actually, this one from Partick Thistle, he says, given Billy Gilmour's injury, is Clarke going to risk our top players against Bolivia?
I think he will.
Yeah, he kind of has to.
He has to. Listen, I don't even think this is. I was talking to him about that earlier. As a manager, anybody that's ever played any level of football knows if you go into a game half-hearted, or you're going to tackle half-hearted, if you're trying to not injure yourself, that's usually when you get hurt.
Aye.
So our guys are going to have to, whether they like it or not, and I think there will be an element of, they've just seen what's happened to him. That's devastating. There's such a tight, close-knit group of players. They're not just teammates, that squad. They're actual really tight friends. And they will be absolutely devastated for Billy Gilmour right now. Much the same way as they were when it was Lyndon Dykes before the Euros in Germany.
Kenny McLean as well.
So they've all seen it. And don't tell me for a minute that every single one of them is not having thoughts going into this Bolivia game. That could be me. But I don't think you can go out onto that pitch worrying about that, or trying to, can I not go in full-blooded into tackles, because that's when you come off worse, and that's when things are most dangerous.
But the other thing is, this is it. This is the last game before Haiti, so no, he has to formulate in his own mind what team he's going to pick, what system he's going to use. These players need to get used to the conditions, which is the whole point of having the game over here before the Haiti game. So he can't think about that. As tough as it is, as Jacko says there, every player will have it at the back of their mind. They don't want to experience what Billy Gilmour's just gone through right on the eve of the biggest tournament of their life.
It's the worst nightmare as a football player.
But football, the way the game, you can't think like that.
It's bad enough. Like Billy Gilmour's playing in Italy, and I know Italy's not a great example because they're not qualifying for World Cups anymore. But you think about players from Spain and France and Germany. It'd be bad enough for one of their top guys to pick up an injury in circumstances like that on the eve of going to a World Cup. There's a snake here.
There's a snake.
We've got a snake.
There's a dinosaur.
No, it's a snake.
A snake?
A genuine snake. Just 5 yards away from us. We just saw what looked like a dinosaur before we came on here. Starting to get a wee bit worried here.
A baby alligator.
I can see the headlines. Keith Jackson has been eaten in Florida.
There's every chance. I thought that might happen last night when we went to, what was that restaurant?
P.F. Chang's.
P.F. Chang's. Wee Scotty was eating everything in sight at that point. I thought if I leave my left arm out for too long here, that could go the way that one of them spare ribs.
I hadn't eaten all day, Jack.
So, if you're German, French, Spanish, Brazilian, Argentinian, and you pick up an injury like that in these circumstances, absolute devastating hammer blow. But we're Scottish. This is, we can't say, I will get to the next one, because we've not been to the last, how many? 30 years worth.
So you think of Billy Gilmour's kind of recent history? No,
It's devastating, and the players are all feeling it for him.
His first Euros, he was a young kid obviously, but he gets left at the first game, then gets brought in for Wembley, Euro 2020.
Away into that bush.
And
it's like a David Attenborough documentary.
Oh, Jesus. Sorry, no, Billy Gilmour comes in, plays at Wembley, does brilliant, Man of the Match award, and then gets COVID and misses the last game of Euro 2020. He obviously, at the 2024 Euros, he gets left out in the Germany game, again, to everyone's surprise, none least Jacko. So you think of the kind of luck he's had, it's not been great, and this is an absolute hammer blow. An absolute hammer blow from he'll be gutted.
I don't know if the snake's got you, but your camera's gone out. I don't know if Keith was maybe tampering with it there, but we can't see you anymore.
Yeah, we're having technical issues.
Well, look, let me throw a few questions at you then while you're trying to get over that. Mark in the comments is one of a few people asking, does Steve Clarke have a problem with Lennon Miller? Is that fair enough to suggest?
That wasn't how I felt. I don't.
There you go.
Yeah. Well done. So we're getting eaten alive here by wildlife, and we're actually real stress levels through the roof. We're in nature's, I don't know, sandpit here. This is anyway. No.
Still got a problem with Lennon Miller.
No, he doesn't have a problem with Lennon Miller.
I get the impression he actually really likes Lennon Miller
and feels for him.
Yep.
So no, it's not that, and we kind of did say that. To me, he's an immaculate young professional, Lennon Miller, really mature boy for such a young player. I think he's taken it in the chin. Difficult for people around him, I guess, and difficult for Lennon Miller. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. He's going to be pretty devastated at that, as we previously discussed. From the moment he saw that Billy Gilmour was, injured in that game at the weekend, he'd have been packing his bags, expecting a call. And when the call came, it wasn't the call that he was hoping for. So
what I would say, Jacko, again, not to give too much away, but I hinted at it last night about Lennon Miller not getting a minute in the last March camp with Scotland, and I think that was quite significant, Daniel. The fact that he didn't play any football, and it was looking back at that now, and kind of listening to Steve Clarke, that was probably a worrying sign for Lennon Miller back then. We probably didn't know that at the time, but I think that's been significant.
I think what you could take away from that today is that if he was concerned at that time that maybe Lennon Miller wasn't in a great place.
Yeah.
And it's where we are today. I see, on a purely human level, I think he would have loved to have done that. Yep. But he has to make decisions based purely upon football reasoning and what's best for this squad, and what's going to most enhance our chances of doing something historic here. And this is one of those calculations.
And unfortunately for Lennon Miller, but fortunately for Clarke in Scotland, it's the exact opposite with guys like Tyler Fletcher and Finlay Curtis, who arrived in training, arrived in these camps absolutely flying, buzzing, feeling on top of the world. And I think that sounds a simple thing, but that's played a massive part in them getting into this squad.
I want to get your guys' take on the Celtic manager's job, if I can, before I let you go. Just before that, though, Scotland squad numbers are out. Tyler Fletcher is number 8. Angus Gunn is number 1. Do you think we can read a lot into that, or?
No, I think you can read into it that Billy Gilmour was number 8 and his shirt's just gone to the guy that's replaced him in the squad. However, he could have gone, well, here, take 25, 26.
Could have.
So the fact that he's given him number 8, the fact that
it's just another wee indicator, as you say, that he won't have any qualms about
using him. Yeah. I'm not so sure. I think I expect that Craig Gordon will start this tournament as Scotland's first choice goalkeeper, even though he won't have the number 1 shirt in his back. But if I was Steve Clarke and I was going to do that to Angus Gunn, And Angus Gunn was another guy that we caught up with today, wasn't he, Scott?
Yep.
I think if you felt that was the decision that you had to make, the best one for the team, it would be a bit gratuitous to then follow that up by saying, and by the way, not only are you going to sit on the bench, but see your number 1 shirt, I'll be having that off you as well.
Aye.
And this squad isn't about that. This squad has got a harmony about it, especially, not especially because I think it's all across the squad, but goalkeepers in particular have a tight wee union. They're a tight wee team, and part of making that is an acceptance that if the other guy gets the gloves, then the rest of them are there as a support team to back him and support. That's what we're talking about in terms of the balance of this squad, and the harmony that it's got, and the unity. And Steve Clarke has had to make some decisions that might have tested some of that over the last few days. But I do think we've arrived here with a squad that are united, completely united behind the scenes, and no cliques, no dramas, and that can only be to the betterment of the performance levels on the pitch.
And in terms of the goalkeeping situation, I mean, the two goalkeepers are close. No, there'll be certainly no animosity. No, whoever gets the nod. It is very tight though. I mean, and I genuinely think, Steve Clarke, he'll have an idea in the back of his mind, obviously, who he wants to play in goal or who he sees starting that first game. But I genuinely think it is so close. I mean, you've got two goalkeepers that haven't played a lot of football. Obviously, Craig Gordon, vastly more experienced, but Angus Gunn did play at the last Euros. It is a 50-50 call to me.
An easy one. It's another difficult choice to me.
It's a toss-up. So, as much as they'll have an idea, I genuinely think, I'd expect both of them to get a bit of time in the Bolivia game, and then ultimately Steve Clarke will go and make a decision. He'll weigh everything up. He'll look at them in training. He'll speak to Chris Woods. He'll weigh up fitness, and eventually he'll make a call on it. But as Jackal says, it's another really difficult decision for him to make.
In the comments, Bubba says, no way, Gordon's been there and done it. And a friend of the show, Kyle Gunn, he says that Craig Gordon, who he'd start him as number 1. Gordon would be the oldest player in World Cup history if he plays at this tournament. I mean, I agree with you guys, it's got to be Gordon, hasn't it?
Dino Zoff won the World Cup as Italy's keeper and captain. And when was that? 82 Spain.
A bit before my time, Jack.
So he was in his 40s. So maybe that's an omen.
I would start Craig Gordon personally. See, I think it's really tight. But if Craig Gordon's fully fit, despite the lack of kind of game time he's had at Hearts obviously recently with an injury, I think if he's fit and ready to go, Craig Gordon's your pick for that Haiti game.
Very last thing, guys, before I let you go, back to Snake Watch. The Celtic,
we need to get higher up. Do you know, this is the problem. We've come down to the garden area, and it's clearly a lethal part of this complex. So see, once we get up the stairs, we'll be fine.
I've got the Haiti game to go to tonight, Daniel. My work doesn't stop. When you're in your bed, I'll be sitting watching Haiti v New Zealand doing the big scouting mission for Scotland, the Daily Record tonight. So I've got that to look forward to.
You're a workaholic.
Exactly.
There's a lot of concern for you, actually, in the comments. Craig says, hope the snake wasn't one of those black ones, you better get out of the way. Rebel says, those wee snakes in Florida have the most potent venom known to man. And William says, with the wildlife about, have Keith and Scott written their wills? So that's nice and cheery.
Hotline dead.
I'll need to do that after I do my two spreads.
This will be the last hotline. Sorry, last thing on football, guys, for all you.
There's an alarm going off now. That'll be the bridge.
The Celtic manager's job. There's been some reports coming out of Ireland today that Robbie Keane is apparently closer to getting the job. We talked about it a bit last night. He'd be up against it, I think, looking at the reaction from Celtic fans.
How bad's it been? Obviously, we've been slightly busy.
There's been a lot in our comments alone. They don't seem to want Robbie Keane. I mean, if anyone's watching...
What are the punters saying? Give us a sample.
Well, hold on, I don't actually have any comments on that to hand at the minute, Keith, but
Just put you on the spot there, a cracker, aren't
I know.
Come on, Dan, up your game.
If you're watching, let us know your thoughts on Robbie Keane, whether or not he would be a successful Celtic manager.
Yeah, so you've just come out with a big statement and you can't back it up, Dan.
But I said last night, Dan, I think it's so difficult for any manager to get into a job when there's a groundswell of opinion, that they don't want him there in the first place before he's even appointed. Russell Martin's a perfect example at Rangers, obviously for different reasons, but there's a real strong feeling when, as soon as Russell Martin's name was mentioned with the manager's job at Rangers, a vast majority of the punters just didn't want it. They didn't see him as a right fit for Rangers, didn't think he was up to it. And listen, you have to say, after what's transpired, they were probably right. So,
well, I'll see your Russell Martin and I'll raise you Brendan Rodgers, because when Brendan Rodgers came back for the second time, there was an outcry from sections of the Celtic support. They didn't want him. They weren't going to tolerate him. And I had a conversation with Brendan Rodgers. He wasn't wanted, and he knew he wasn't wanted.
But they knew Brendan Rodgers was a top manager, and they knew he could do that job.
I had a conversation with Brendan Rodgers during that period, those few days, initially, maybe even when he was making up his mind. And it was a very straightforward, simple fact. I think I said to him, if you win games of football, the fans will get back on side. It's as simple as that. Now, as much as Rangers fans might not like the idea about Russell Martin, if Russell Martin had got in and won games of football and he had them at the top of the league, they'd all been wearing big shaggy wigs and beards and going hugging trees.
Vegan.
Aye, vegan. That 100%. If you're a manager of a football club, especially in Glasgow, one of the big two, win games of football. Do you know what? You'll quieten. If there's a noise around your appointment, it'll quiet down. People will get behind you because they want to see a successful Celtic or a Rangers team.
But I suppose that's the point, Dan. If Robbie Keane comes in, and listen, no firm manager gets a lot of time. Obviously, Jacko says you need to win right away. But it would feel, because there is that kind of negative opinion, it would just feel like the first drop points, the first away game in the league where it's a draw.
There's our boat coming.
That's right.
We ordered that. There's my Uber.
The first drop points, he would be struggling. He'd be up against it, Daniel, and that's not a great position for any manager getting into a new job. And listen, Robbie Keane will be aware of that. I'm not saying for a minute it would kind of dissuade him. He'll believe in his own ability. Every manager does, that they can prove fans wrong. But it's a difficult starting point, I think, for any manager getting into a job as big as that.
Well, here's a little sample now that I do have comments that have come in. John says,
do your job right. You've got one job there.
Keane has just lost out in a close title race in Hungary. He's not qualified to manage Celtic. Stephen says it'd be a terrible choice getting Neil signed in a 1-year contract. Anne says Robbie Keane would be as welcome as the snake with the fans. And Sean simply says there'll be riots on the Celtic way if Robbie Keane is appointed. So,
wow. Okay, so
that's a fair.
That is fairly hostile. Okay, Dan, I get your point.
I think that more or less brings us to the end of tonight's Hotline live from Florida. Guys, I really hope that you survived the night.
Yeah, we need to get up the stairs and out of this kind of death area.
Yeah, I'm getting out of here pronto.
A few people asking what's the bevy like over there, and I'm putting that up just to dismiss this notion that you'd be doing that. You're obviously out there to work 24/7.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, honestly, listen. See, because of the time, and I know people saying, "Aye, right." See the time difference. Your working day is sandwiched, isn't it? So you're just up against it all the time. I dare say that I will accept it. I had a nice glass of red with my dinner last night, and I fully intend having a nice cold beer as soon as this is finished. But no, Scotty's you're
it's expensive.
It's expensive as well, aye. But you don't have that option. You're going to do the spying mission with Haiti, so
proper professional.
Absolute professional. I'm away to collapse in my room.
You can
The
read
brains
all
of the
about
operation.
you can read all about Haiti's danger men tomorrow.
I can't
Absolutely.
wait. I can't wait to read that one.
That's what people want to hear.
Aye, and the embargoed Steve Clarke stuff on Tyler Fletcher and plenty more will be on Record Sport 10:30.
It's really interesting. It's
Aye.
really interesting.
Definitely
Yeah.
worth a read. Guys, thanks so much. We're doing Hotline Live again tomorrow.
Also, Dan, I think Hotline Live, we should also send our best wishes out to Kenny Dalglish.
Very good point. Yep.
We spoke to Steve Clarke about that, and you can see his comments about Kenny in the paper. It's obviously come as an absolute bombshell to everybody involved in Scotland, to anybody that ever watched Kenny Dalglish in a Scotland or a Liverpool shirt or a Celtic shirt for that matter. I mean, I was going to say one of the all-time. He is the all-time great as far as Scotland is concerned. Surpassed only in sporting levels, if it was surpassed at all, by Andy Murray. He is just a living legend of a man.
He's your favourite player of all time, Keith?
What's that?
He's your favourite player of all time, aye.
He was. I grew up idolising Kenny Dalglish, the red Liverpool shirt, the number 7 in his back. He was just an absolute joy.
He's also not only an icon, everything you've said is right there, but he's also actually had a massive influence on people in this squad.
Yeah.
You know, Steve Clarke's worked with Steve Clarke before at Newcastle and Liverpool. You think of the influence he's had on Andy Robertson since he went to Anfield. He's obviously Scotland captain now, so a massive icon. Throughout the game, but obviously, especially for Scotland.
So really bad news, but I think the feeling is the whole nation, the whole Scotland squad over there, everybody just sending our best wishes and hopefully for a full and speedy recovery.
And we've got plenty of comments coming in already, wishing him all the best. And as you said, Keith, everyone at Hotline Live, we just, wish him hopefully a speedy recovery. But for tonight, guys, that brings us to the end of Hotline Live, brought to you by Record Sport. We're hoping to do this again at 9 p.m. tomorrow if you guys haven't been eaten by anything. And I can't really do it myself, so if you could try and stay safe, that would be great.
Aye, all right, Dan.
Cheers, Dan.
As if we've not got enough to worry about.
Guys, thanks so much, and thank you very much for all the comments. Thanks very much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. All the best, guys.
Cheers, Dan.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.